Let the recording start off. All right, we are live and back in the studio. Assalamu alaikum once again, everybody. So I was just giving you all a quick recap of how your what do we call it? Google Classroom might be looking. You're going to be given access to the Conceptuals portal too, but majorly I personally prefer using the Classroom because it's very easy. Okay, so you're going to have both of the options available for you, whatever you want to go with, but majorly CS stuff and you use the Classroom. Okay, keep this in your mind. First thing, as an O level, my kid reached out to me saying, sir, I don't have the recordings. And he found out later on, okay, the whole class works on Classroom, and apparently that kid did not know about Classroom. So if anything is not clear, please don't hesitate from reaching out. One thing in my class, I love questions. So if you aren't asking questions from me, फिर मसला है. Okay, I want the class to be super interactive. I want you guys to ask as many questions as you want, and I want you guys to be like very chill with me. Don't count me as like, you know, that old style teacher jo gussa mussa karega. Low-key chill senior. Okay, so now the thing is, you go to the classroom and you're going to see all the recordings. So I'm going to upload the first 3 demo classes recording up here. You can then watch them, and ye to O-level ki example de raha hu, but you're going to see that every Tuesday you're going to have a TA class. The purpose of having the TA class was to make you guys solve extra past paper questions. Okay, inshallah. So like if we study something in a specific week, like in this last week we studied conversion, this week we might be continuing with conversion. We're going to further study something else, maybe related to, you know, binary negative numbers and all that stuff. So वो सब कुछ बहुत important होता है. And the thing is, usually students don't get the opportunity to practice. So you're going to have an extra TA class where Ayan, who's going to be TA, is going to be making you guys solve practice questions from exam papers directly of the content which we just studied. So you're not learning stuff, you're practicing the stuff that exact week. And every 2 weeks, we're going to have one extra class which will be conducted on Monday, where I'm going to be either solving the questions from my topical for you all, or and या फिर उस दिन हम करेंगे demo, जो भी हमने पढ़ा होगा उसकी revision. Our team will solve them with us. Yes, he's going to be solving the questions in front of you. If you guys want to solve it alongside, all good. If not, just listen up and the worksheet will be provided. आप बाद में भी कर सकते हैं. But this is one extra thing which no one is providing, and we want to provide it so that you are well prepared for both paper 1 and paper number 2 preparation, inshallah. सही है? So extra stuff, extra material, extra A-star preparation, or like AS में तो A, but like of course you're going to still aim for an A-star, right? Or a distinction, as I mentioned in the first class. So now the thing is, that's how everything is going to be conducted. Once the topic ends, we're going to have 2 classes back to back doing past paper questions. I'm going to be making you guys solve those questions. Okay, TA ki apni jagah, but once we end the topic, we're going to have 2 classes this time to make you guys practice all types of questions. So matlab topicals, we're going to cook those topicals. इतने ज़्यादा सवाल इंशाल्लाह कि हम live भी करेंगे, हम TA की classes में भी करेंगे, and we're going to give you extra worksheets जो आपने खुद भी करने हैं. So those worksheets are your gateway to getting that A-star and getting a good university acceptance afterwards. Okay, just as a fun fact, like universities in Hong Kong, they literally give you full rides if you get straight A-stars in A-levels. So like no extracurriculars, nothing like that, just back some A-stars, good to go scene. Okay, so we're going to discuss uni applications in between too, but likewise we're going to have these thingies, and for every topic we're going to have a quiz. Okay, so we're going to have a quiz that will be conducted. Uske yahan pe aapke paas section hoga, you're going to submit, the questions would be available, and all those details would be then inshallah ta'ala provided. Okay, so I just wanted to give you guys a quick overview of how the whole model is going to work till the other fellow peers of ours join in, but yeah, I hope that's clear, right? When I ask you guys if something is clear, I expect every single one of you who is in the class to write the message clear, yes, or if there is any question, just drop down the question, okay? So that we can understand that sabko samajh aa rahi hai and we are at the same page. If anybody who feels like it nahi clear, don't hesitate from reaching out. Seedha bol diya karo, sir, not clear, so that I can explain it, right? All good, perfect. That's great to know, mashallah. So let's start off with the course content officially. Let me start screen sharing. So right now, in the last class, we had a pretty good discussion over binary addition, right? So we have covered up majorly 3 fundamental parts where we studied what binary is all about. Also, I'm going to turn off the chat box, but if there are any questions, you may raise the hand. And of course, the moment we are done with a specific topic, I'm going to open up the chat box on my own to let you guys ask questions. The purpose of doing this is, yaar, वैसे बच्चे ना फिर शोर करने लग जाते हैं, useless सवाल वगैरह, like they get to discussion. Like literally my O-level batch, वहाँ पे students were rage baiting me over why CR7 might be better. But they know, right? No one can beat my goat Messi. So, matlab, easy. But never mind. So we studied a few fundamental things that day. We studied what binary is, and we studied the conversions of binary. We then studied conversions ke under we studied denary and also hexadecimal logics. And the last thing we studied was how do you add binary numbers, right? With a small concept of how you might have an overflow error coming up. This was everything we studied in the last class. Right now, this concept may still seem like something repeating from the O-level session, but you don't have to worry because this is something you need to understand in order to perform better ahead too, inshallah. Okay, so right now we're going to be moving ahead from binary addition, and this time we're going to be learning how do you represent negative numbers. So like to this point, we were all talking about how you might be able to represent positive numbers, right? So like the values were 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and a 128, which meant that apparently wherever you put a value, it's going to result in something positive, right? You put 1 up here, positive 1. You put 1 up here, positive 128. So isn't there any way to represent negative numbers? Like, bro, how will I be representing कि okay, I lost my weight by 10 kg. Minus 10 को मैं कैसे represent करूंगा? तो minus को करने के लिए computer should have some notation, right? And that is what we're going to be studying right now. That how do you represent negative numbers in binary? Representing negative numbers in binary. Now the thing is, बाइनरी तो जीरोस एंड वंस में होती है, जीरोस एंड वंस में होती है, बट लाइक वी नो कि ओके जो वैल्यूज है वो तो पॉजिटिव है. नाउ हाउ डू आई डू दिस? Now, if you know, like you generally have a formula for something in maths, right? Like for example, you are calculating the area of a circle. How do you do it? Pi r square. That's like O-level maths, right? But why is there a formula? Because it's like a set of actions जो कि उसको summarize कर देता है. Likewise, when you want to represent negative numbers in binary, where I might have a question, okay, one of you, like for example, I might say, Naila, you tell me how do you represent negative 22 in binary? So अब negative 22 के लिए Naila would be like, sir, let me have a try. So she might be putting the concepts which we learned last time, which were 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and 128 wali notation. And now she might be like, okay, where do I put a 1? Because apparently wherever you put a 1, you cannot get a minus 22, right? And for this, what computer scientists did was that they were like, okay, that's a problem. We cannot represent negative numbers this way. So what rather we can do is, so we can come up with a formula that can basically simplify this whole model. And that formula, or like basically that concept, that came out to be with the name of 2's complement. 2's complement. So wherever you see the word 2's complement in an exam paper, aapko clear cut hint hai that this question in most cases is going to represent or ask you to denote negative numbers. Because if there is no 2's complement mentioned, then this means you have 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128 wali logic. But when you hear the word 2's complement, something changes. What changes? That is what we're going to be studying right now. So when you hear the word of 2's complement, this is basically a formula that involves a few steps that converts a value from basically positive to negative. Okay, it's a set of actions that convert the value from positive binary to negative binary. What are those actions or steps? That's the important question. So the first way, or the first step which you might recall when you talk about 2's complement is कि जब भी आपने कोई negative number लिखना होता है, whenever you want to write something in terms of negative numbers, like negative 22, what you do is the first step, or like the first part of the formula, is that you write the positive version of it. So write positive 22 binary. You write the positive 22 binary. So for example, the question was to represent negative 22 in terms of binary. So if I want to represent negative 22, the first thing I'm going to do is represent positive 22 in binary. So I have the values up here. I'm going to copy it up here, and I'm going to write positive 22 ki binary. So if you remember, we studied this in the last class. Easy stuff. You just put one where when you add them up, you get a positive 22. So you put a 0 up here, because 128 to bada hai, ye to ho hi nahi sakta. Likewise, 64 is also greater than 22. This might not be possible. 32 is also greater. Nah, 16, of course. 16 plus what is going to get me a 22? 16 plus 6 is going to get me a 22. So now I don't need to put 1 so that I get a 6, which could be 4 and 2. So this means 16 plus 8 to bada ho jayega. 16 plus 4 is 20. 20 plus 2 is 22, and again 1 add किया तो 23 बन जाएगा, so इसको भी छोड़ दो. So you see that I get my positive 22 binary answer to be as 000101110. That's the binary for positive 22. Now the second step of the same formula, like जैसे आप कोई value maths में calculate कर रहे होते हैं, and there is a set of actions, a formula. The second step in this formula is to basically flip the bits. Flip the bits. When we say flip the bits, you might be saying this कि यार सर इसका क्या मतलब है? What do you mean flip the bits? Basically flipping the bits means कि यार जो भी आपके पास binary है ना, उसके अंदर make the 0 a 1 and make the 1 a 0. So मतलब कि अगर मैं बोलूं कि यहाँ पे zeros represent boys and 1 represent let's say girls, तो जहां पे boy है वहां पे girl को कर दो, and जहां पे girls खड़ी है वहां पे boys को खड़े कर दो. Similarly, wherever you see the number 0, you flip that, make it a 1. Wherever you see the number 1, you flip it and you make it a 0. So like if I see the 0 up here, so this is going to get flipped. 0 1 में flip हो जाएगा. So like if it's a 0, it's now going to become a 1. So ये तो हमारे पास बन गया 1. This is 0, it's going to become a 1. This is 0, this is going to become a 1. This is 1, so it's going to become a 0. This is 0, this is going to become a 1. This is 1, this is going to become a 0. This is 1, this is going to become a 0. And this is 0, this is going to become a 1. Now, this is basically an intermediate step where you get some value. And now you might be wondering, sir, ये जो आपके पास अभी आंसर है, ये क्या नेगेटिव बाइनरी है? नो, अभी ये नेगेटिव बाइनरी नहीं बनी. अभी हमारे पास ये नेगेटिव बाइनरी नहीं बनी. But you might be wondering, sir, then what is this? This is basically a middle stage of that formula where when you write the positive binary and you flip it up, it comes to a stage where this specific point is known as something we call as 1's complement. Like the process name was 2's complement, right? The process name was 2's complement. But the process name is 2's complement, but जब आप उसको binary positive में लिख लो and you flip the bits, the answer which you get, you call that answer as the 1's complement answer. Say, like if I give you a binary number and I say, okay, find me, like Moise, find me the 1's complement value for positive 22. कैसे ढूंढोगे? You write, or like not even positive for 22, for example. So how do you find it? You write the binary in terms of positive number and then you flip the bits. And this answer which you just got up here, that's the 1's complement answer. What? That's the 1's complement answer. Now we have the 1's complement answer with us. But now you might be saying, sir, is 1's complement क्या मतलब है? Like ये 1's complement like कोई super power है इसके अंदर, कोई चीज तो होगी ना कि सर इसको इतना special 1's complement नाम दिया हुआ है. तो yes, 1's complement के अंदर ये एक special power है ना कि when you write something in terms of 1's complement, it brings the element of negativity to it. How? Like previously, you saw that our numbers were 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. When you convert something from 2's complement to 1's complement, so these values have a small change in them. किस तरह? Like generally, the values are 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and 128, right? 128. But you know, when you make a 1's complement model, converting that to plain positive binary value into 1's complement, तो जो आपका most left hand side bit होता है ना, the bit which has the largest value, like इन सब में सबसे बड़ी value किसकी है? इसकी सबसे बड़ी है या 128 is the largest? Which one is the largest? 128 is the largest, right, among all these values. Remember, the one which is the largest, that largest value is going to get a negative with it. That largest value is going to get what? It's going to get a negative sign with it. So now this point onwards, this is not resembling a positive 128. It's resembling a negative 128. So it's like a superpower of 1's complement that when you flip the bits, it basically changes the dynamics in a way. किस तरह, क्यों? Not in the syllabus. होता क्या? ये ध्यान में रखना है कि when you change the dynamics, your values basically stay the same, but the one which has the largest value, in सारी values में सबसे बड़ी क्या है? -128. So this becomes negative. Why am I saying the largest value and not just saying like बाकी आप देखोगे teachers in schools and in the books, they might be saying you make the 128 one a negative 128. But it's not the 128 one becoming the negative 128. It's the one having the largest value. And the bit which has the largest value, that is usually known as the most significant bit. So this bit which you have up here, the most left hand side, this one is basically known as the most significant bit. Oh my bad, इसको मैं यहाँ से select कर सकता हूँ. Yep, I can. Perfect. So this is known as a MSB, most significant bit. What does this mean? It's basically that bit जिसकी सबसे ज़्यादा value है. Which if in all of them I see सबसे बड़ी value किसकी है? 128 वाली की, right? So this is the most significant bit. But if I take something like this is now a 12-bit register, right? A 12-bit register now has the largest value as 128 or like a 2048. आप लोग बताओ. It has to be 2048, right? क्योंकि ये सबसे बड़ी value है. तो in a case like this, which one is going to be the most significant bit? The most left hand side, which is 2048. This is the most significant bit. Why? क्योंकि ये जितनी values आप यहाँ पे देख रहे हो, ये जितनी values आप यहाँ पे देख रहे हो 1 से 2048 तक, all of them में से सबसे बड़ी value कौन सी है? The one which has the largest value, that is known as the most significant bit. And if this was being something like, हमने तो नीचे 8-bit को consider किया था ना, this was an 8-bit number. But if it was something like a 12-bit number and you do ones complement on this, तो इसमें most significant bit के साथ negative होगा, तो because this is most significant bit, तो इसके साथ लग जाएगा. तो ये point आपको जहन में रखना है that when you do ones complement, what the purpose of ones complement is that it converts, इसको मैं कहीं और ले जाता हूँ. How do you cut it? So bring it up here. यहाँ पे paste कर देते हैं. Bring this stuff up here, and yeah, let's write it up here. The power of ones complement is that it converts the most significant bit. It converts the most significant bit, the one having the largest value, into what? Into negative form. Significant bit into negative number, into negative form. And once you do that, उसके बाद what you need to understand is कि ये तो 2 steps हो गए. Now sir, क्या तीसरा भी कोई step है? Yes, एक छोटा सा और step रह गया. And the end of this formula or this process of 2's complement is that you add a 1 into the resulting binary. Add 1, which means that whatever binary value you had previously, उसके अंदर you just add 1. So like, what was the previous 1's complement answer? वो ये था 1 1 1. ये थोड़ा चलो बड़ा कर देते हैं. 1 1 1 0 1 0 0 1, and now you just add a 1 into it. Same to same logic जिस तरह हमने कल पढ़ी थी, that like in the last class, that when you add them you have a set of rules. I can recopy it for you guys up here. These rules, you just have to memorize them, and it's something, if you practice them with a bit of practicing, you're going to automatically learn these rules. It's not that difficult, easy scene hai, bahut aaram se ho jati hai, but yeah, it requires practice. Okay, so if you have these rules, you're going to add them up. But you might be saying, sir, yahan to 1 hai, baaki jagah mein to kuch hai hi nahi. Now what? Now when you don't see anything, you may assume that it has a 0 below it. Okay, so you just have zeros below them. 0 0 0 0 0. Okay, so you just have empty zeros below them. You don't want to write these zeros, doesn't matter. Okay, but like, just for your own understanding, don't be like ye koi khali jagah hai. Nahi, it's filled up with zeros. Okay, if anybody ever asks you, because you guys are now the A-level CS students, you're no longer the O-level kids, right? A-level kids need to know the proper understanding. So yahan pe zeros hai. Now let's add them up. 1 plus 1, according to this, is basically 0 with 1 carry. This is basically 1 plus 0, which is same as saying कि 1 plus 0 plus 0. 1 plus 0 basically 1 ही बन जाता है. तो 1 plus 0 वाली rule apply हो जाती है. 1 plus 0 is answer with 1 with 0 carry. So write the answer as 1. And for the rest of them, you just write the exact same answer. 0 plus 0 is a 0. 1 plus 0 is just a 1. 0 plus 0 is 0. 1 plus 0 is a 1. 1 plus 0 is a 1. 1 plus 0 is a 1. And that's also the reason why a lot of people, when you guys were in O level, you didn't used to write these zeros, क्योंकि answer पे कोई फर्क ही नहीं पड़ता था. Like 1 plus 1, 0 with 1 कर दिया, and फिर 1 plus 0, 1 बन गया. 0 का आप वही लाए, 1 को नीचे लाए, 0 को नीचे लाए, 1 1 1. You see, the exact same thing comes down because you have like empty zeros up here. Zeros literally have no value. But the point is that this binary which you have up here, this is basically the binary of negative 22. And now you might be saying, sir, how is this the binary of negative 24? Like, let's verify it. Okay, let's verify it. Now you might be saying, sir, हमने तो कुछ और पढ़ा था. Like, for example, if I write this value up here, it's 1 1 1 0 1 0 1 0, right? And now you might be just putting up the value. So you'll be like, okay, 1 2 4 8 16 32, 64, and a 128. Now you're going to be saying, sir, ये तो positive number बन रहे हैं. But the point here to understand is that when you go through the 2's complement method, this 128 now becomes a negative 128. So now if I add these all up, it's going to be what? You're adding this, you're adding this, you're adding this, you're adding this, and you're adding this. You should be getting a negative 22. So it's like a minus 128 being added into 64 plus 32 plus 8 plus 2. So now I don't have a time to do it manually. You guys won't be having a calculator in exam. Keep that in your mind though. तो आपने खुद ही करना होगा. But so while practicing, please don't use a calculator, okay? I've been noting some O-level kids doing that, but like if I do it on a calculator for you, you guys can clearly see up here, I got what? I got a minus 22. I got a minus 22, hence verified that yes, this is the binary of negative 22. But whenever a question asks you for a negative 22 binary, do know that this answer which I got, this is 2's complement binary. This is 2's complement binary. So whenever you are asked to represent a negative number, आपके 2's complement के बगैर हो ही नहीं सकता. And जब भी 2's complement का word आपके पास आएगा, asking you to represent any number in 2's complement, it's not necessary कि like आपके पास negative number है. It might just say represent 20 in 2's complement. Represent 20 in 2's complement. So if you even have to represent 20 or something like that in 2's complement, these are the steps you got to follow. You write the positive, you flip the bits, you add a 1. That gets you a negative answer. But like usually इसके बाद I'm going to teach you कि अगर आपको positive का question आ गया तो वो कैसे करेंगे. But this is the step you need to follow in order to represent a negative number. Now I'm going to make you guys solve another question, and then I'm going to take your questions if there are any. Okay. So now let's suppose we have to represent negative 75. We have to represent negative 75 in binary. So what were the steps? You first write the binary of positive 75. Step number 1, binary for positive 75. For positive 75. So you put up the values again: 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, 128, and you just add them up. 0, 64 plus 11, right? So 0, 0, 8 plus 2, 10, 10 plus 1, 11. So with practice आपका इतना आसान हो जाएगा. Okay, आप लोग आराम से 2 मिनट के अंदर कर लोगे. And then the second step is that you flip the bits. So you flip the bits. So when you have to flip the bits, this means make the 0 a 1 and a 1 a 0. So 1, 1, 0, 1, 0, 0. And what was the third step? The third step was that you basically add 1 into this answer. So add 1. So when you have to add 1, you basically copy the exact same. Oh my bad. Why did it got changed though? पहले तो किसी और तरीके से था, but चलो कोई नहीं. Let's drag this part. So yeah, this thingy repeated up here, and I'm just gonna add 1 into it. So it's like addition. And so if you add these binary values, you're gonna get 0 plus 1 as 1. And बाकी तो same to same 0 है, तो कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. You can just bring the values down. Okay, you can just bring the values down because it's like 0 plus anything doesn't make any difference. But that's your answer. And this is basically my answer for negative 75. And now even if I have to verify it for you, like it's 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and a negative 128. And if I add these values up, you can definitely see a negative 128 plus 32 plus 16 plus 4 plus 1 is nothing but a negative 75. And you just saw that is how you usually get questions and are asked, and like you are asked to represent negative numbers this way. I've opened up the chat box. If there are any questions or anybody who did not understand this, please let me know. But these are like the steps, these 3, on how you represent basically a positive number in terms of some negative form, right? So like a positive, what if the MSB is 0? Will it still count? If the MSB is 0, will it still count? Perfect question, Iman. We're just going to go towards that. So do we have to write the zeros when we add? No, not necessary. Not necessary. Sir, is this A level CS? Yep, it's A level CS, AS level CS. ये आपके course में है. That's the point. AS के एक दो topics इस तरह which are like literally O level का stuff. So you might be thinking, sir, ये तो सब O level में पढ़ा हुआ है, but yeah, it's gonna be coming back in the AS, right? So AS CS is very easy. So why can't we directly perform verification method? That will give us answer faster. Ahmed, that's not possible because sometimes the examiner asks you to show all of your working. If the question says show your working, it's a 3-marker question. You do the verification in the direct method, which I'm just going to teach after this. जिसको नहीं पता easy scene है. But like अगर आप वो direct method use कर लेते, you lose the verification. What do we call? You lose the marks for क्या कहते हैं, what do we call it, showing the working. So there is one other direct shortcut which I'm going to just teach जो अहमद अभी बात करे, but you don't get the working method marks then. If the question asks you कि bro you need to show working, then you have to show working. Okay, so that's the point which you need to keep in your mind. Clear, Ahmed? That's the reason you should be aware of this method too. Perfect. So now let's move on towards then one another shortcut method which generally जब exam में आपको नहीं बोला जाता कि यार what do we call it, show us the working. There is a shortcut method which you can use, but only you got to use this when the examiner does not specify you need to show working. Only use when working is not required. When working is not required. Now the point here to understand is when we look on to a specific number जिसको हमने negative में represent करना या 2's complement में represent करना हो, तो we know that whenever we have a 2's complement number, you can sort of assume कि like अगर हम इन values को देखें, whenever I convert something into negative, there is one thing common. And that common thing is that the values are basically now no longer 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and a positive 28, but it's like negative 28. So one shortcut method up here is that why don't you, if you remember, when you generally convert, let's say I ask you to represent 10, how do you do it? It's like 1, 2, 4, 8, and you put 1, 0, 1, 0, and you say you get 10. Can we do something similar for negative? Well, you definitely can. And wo kaise chalte? That's like you just write the values, which are basically 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. In most of the OA level syllabus, you're going to mostly get it to negative, what do you call it, 8 bits. So in me, most probably would be discussing examples up to negative 120. But that point was something you should be clear on कि बड़ी value अगर आई तो घबराना नहीं है. So if you just see, I wrote the values. Why? Because I know these are the values which would be eventually used when I have something written in 2's complement. So rather than following that long method of representing something that way, कि मैं यहाँ पे बोलूँ कि okay, आप उसकी positive लिखो and then you flip and then you add 1. Why not you directly write the values and put 1s in a way that when you add those values, you get that negative number. For example, if I have to represent the same negative 22, the way I'm going to be following up here is that I'm going to first and foremost put 1 under the negative 128 one. Why do I put a 1 under negative 128? Because if I don't put a 1 under negative 128, I can never get a negative answer. Like for example, I put something like 1 up here and I put a 0 up here. तो ये तो इससे तो मेरे पास positive answer आ रहा है. This gives me a positive answer. Similarly, what if I put 1 up here and a 1 up here? 16 plus 4 is 20. तो ये तो फिर पॉजिटिव आंसर आ रहा है. So the only way you can get a negative answer is that when your most significant bit is 1 or has the bit turned on. On का मतलब 1 value. So if your minus 128 is a 1, what this basically means is that you go back to your O-level maths and it's basically minus 128 plus x is basically negative 22. And now you basically try to find the value of x जो कि आपने फिर इस later वाले section के अंदर वो value put in करनी है so that you get the final answer. So like how do I do it? Easy stuff. You shift the x there, right? So it's x equals to 128 minus 22. And now you do the basic mathematics. 128 से आप 22 को subtract करें, 8 minus 2 is 6, 2 minus 2 is 0, and you get 106. So you need to represent 106 in the other part. And now this is a shortcut which people don't get. Like one of you just said, कि सर उसमें addition में बहुत errors होते हैं, so ये shortcut आपको कभी किसी ने पढ़ाया नहीं होगा, इसलिए errors होते थे. वरना अगर आपको ये पता हो तो कभी errors शयान आपके पास ना हो, क्योंकि आपने 128 किया, you just did this, and now you put 106, which is literally easy. How do I put 106? Let's see. So 64 should be 1. 64 plus 32 is a 96. So now I know 96 tak to pahunch gaya, I just need to write 10. So 8 and 2, 10. So 64 plus 32 plus 8 plus 2 gets me a 106. And all the other places are a 0. And boom, I just got my answer for negative 22. Now if I have to compare it, it's 1110110. And if I have to compare it with this, so you can see 111 011 01010. 01010. Boom, I got the exact same answer. But rather than going through that steps of shifting, positive number, flipping, adding 1, this is something which helped me get the answer literally in 2 minutes. But the only problem with this is that you're not showing the working, right? So like if the question does not ask you to show working, you may save your time by just using this method. Similarly, if I have to do it for the negative 75, wala, same to same concept, but now I have to do it for negative 75. How do you do it? You just write the values. Okay, you write the values because we know कि 2's complement होगा, question में लिखा होगा you minus 75 using 2's complement. That's going to be something जो question के अंदर stated होगा. If you don't see the word 2's complement, you don't make use of negative 128. Minus 128 is only when you see the word क्या 2's complement. So like if it's 2's complement, 1 to 48, then 16, 32, 64, and of course the largest value up there, which is the most significant bit, you put a minus 128 there. And now because I have to represent minus something, oh, I mera change ही हो गया color यार. How do you change the color back to my red? I red साहब किधर गए? Red, you come back, man. I miss you. Come back. Yeah, that's better. अच्छा red शुरू में. My bad. Never mind. But chalo, let's say you have these values, right? So now I'm gonna put in a 1 up here. And now same concept as before, you do minus 128 plus x, and that is negative 75. Maths, you shift the 128 to the other side, so x equals to 128 minus 75, and you now find the value of x. You do basic maths up here. 128 से 75 subtract कर दे. 8 minus 5 is 3. 12 minus 7 is 5. So you get the answer to be as 53. And now you write basically 53 in this part of it. So 53 will be now in this part. How do I do that? 64 is bada hai 0. 32, of course. 32 plus 16 is 48. So 48 plus 2 plus 3, 53. So I have to add 5. How do I write 5? 4 and 1. And the others are going to be 0. So like if I now do minus 128, plus 32 plus 16 plus 4 plus 1, I should be getting a negative 75. And let's verify it with the answer I just got before. So the previous answer for negative 75 was 101101. So it's 1011010101. Boom, verified. And that's a shortcut method of how you might be able to represent something in 2's complement. But now before moving to the next concept, there is something sometimes the question asks you to represent a positive number using 2's complement. Okay, positive 2's complement number. This is a really important concept because a lot of students, they basically always assume that 2's complement equals to negative number. That's not true. That's not true. So like there is a possibility that you are also able to represent positive numbers using 2's complement number. Okay, so now you can even represent positive numbers in 2's complement. And now you might be like, sorry, ये कैसे possible है? ये तो मुझे पता ही नहीं है. मैंने तो O level में CS पढ़ी थी. I don't know. So how do you represent positive 2's complement number? Now for that, the only way to represent that is, and whenever you get a question, you solve using the shortcut method. Okay, solve using the shortcut method. वो दूसरे method से नहीं हो सकता. दूसरा method which we just discussed at the start, the other one, that was only for negative numbers. But the shortcut method could be used to represent the negative numbers. How? Like if you write the values for 2's complements, basically 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, 64, and a negative 128. And now, for example, I put a 0 under the minus 128 part. And let's say I put something like 64, 32, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. And now I try to add up the values, which are basically this, this, and this. What answer will I be getting? It's basically a 64 being added into a 32 plus 4, which is basically 96 plus 4, that's 100. Is this 100 negative? Guys, is this 100 negative? Not at all, right? It's positive. But I did make use of the 2's complement logic. यार मेरे पास जो values की position की values हैं, they are being used the 2's complement method में. जहाँ पे मेरा most significant bit was basically still negative. It had the negative 128 value. So if you are asked to represent a 2's complement number, but like a positive 2's complement number, like for example, a question is represent 76 in 2's complement. Represent positive 76 in 2's complement. So don't be like, sir, aapne bole to 2's complement is only for negative numbers. No, it's not mandatory to it be for only positive negative numbers. It's one way of representing negative numbers, but you can also represent positive numbers uske upar agar aap minus 128 wale ko 0 kar do. So like for a 2's complement, the point here to note is when you talk about 2's complement, 2's complement में the whole game is basically of the most significant bit. Most significant bit, MSB. If your MSB value is basically 0, then that is going to represent positive 2's complement number. 2's complement number. If it's 1 complement, एक second, ये पूरा कर दो फिर complement number. And if it's having the value as 1, so then you should know that it's basically representing a negative 2's complement number. That is what you need to understand when a question asks you for positive 2's complement number. तो बस आपने जिस तरह मैंने अभी आपके लिए positive 100 की वैल्यू निकाली है, that way you can find any number, whether that's positive or negative. So 2's complement is not 100% something you use only for negative number. Yeah, it's a way that allows you to find negative numbers, but it's not mandatory कि सिर्फ negative. Similar to saying कि okay, you might have an oven in your home, you may be able to bake something with it, but it's also used to heat up food, right? जो आपके मेहमानों का रह गया और अगले दिन या रात के 3 बजे आप लोग कहते हो यार जल्दी से बिरयानी के ऊपर सालन डालो, ओ मेरी भूख लगी हुई है, भूख लगी, और फिर ओवन के अंदर डालते हो. So similarly, two's complement has the same logic. Okay, you may use that two's complement model to basically find negative numbers, but the question can also ask you to represent positive numbers with it. And that's the whole concept of representing negative numbers, 2's complement, 1's complement, and representing positive numbers in terms of 2's complement. But you find 2's complement values. अगर क्वेश्चन में लिखा पॉजिटिव 2's complement, तो ये 128 वाली बिट क्लियरली दिखानी है. थोड़ी बहुत आपने वर्किंग ये शो करनी है कि 1 2 4 8 16 32 64 minus 128. If you don't show this minus 128, even अगर इसका क्वेश्चन है to show working, you show it this way. You write this, you put a minus 128 clearly, and you put a 0 below it. Okay, that's how you basically find this answer. Clear, everybody? Any questions? Chat box is open. पूछो. Shayan, also, आपको अब समझ आई कि how may you may be making use of the what do we call it, the shortcut method to find the values easily. And say likewise ईमान, आपको भी समझ आ गई कि what if your most significant bit is a 0, तो उस केस के अंदर क्या होगा. Use the shortcut method if the question, not necessarily question के अंदर अगर लिखा हो कि show your working, पहला method. Question में लिखा हो है positive 2's complement number, yeah, it does not ask you to show the working, use the shortcut method. So in negative number, what if x is more than 128? What if x is more than 128? X cannot be more than 128. That's the whole thing. It cannot be more than 128. Like अगर आपके पास यहाँ पे जो भी वैल्यू इसकी एक रेंज है, वो रेंज बेसिकली आपके ओ लेवल्स कोर्स में थी. इट वाजंट इन द एएस जो मैं वो अभी देख रहा था. सो इस वजह से मैं आपको वो कराना नहीं चाह रहा. बट इफ यू गाइस वांट, मैं बाद में वेरीफाई कर लूंगा इफ इट्स देयर. तो फिर आपको बेसिकली द थिंग इज that there's a specific range you can represent. Okay, so like if you want to represent negative numbers, the smallest negative number you can represent in an 8-bit register is a minus 128. इससे छोटी values आप नहीं represent कर सकते 8-bit register में. So you have ranges like this. I can re-verify this from the syllabus, and if it is there फिर मैं आपको पढ़ा दूंगा. But for now just ignore it. Just समझ जाओ कि इसकी लिमिट्स है, उन लिमिट्स के अंदर ही आंसर आ सकता है. सो इफ यू आर सेइंग कि 128 से बड़ी हो जाए, वो लिमिट को एक्सीड कर ही नहीं सकता. सही है, तो इस वजह से वी आर नॉट गोना गो इनटू दिस. क्लियर? जस्ट द लार्जेस्ट पॉजिटिव नंबर, smallest negative number is minus 128. You put this one and all of the others as zeros. Like what could be the smallest negative number? What could be the smallest negative number? Smallest negative number का मतलब वो यहाँ पे 1 है, like minus 128 plus what thing is going to get me the smallest, which is minus 120. It's going to be a 0, right? So minus 120 में कुछ भी add ना हो तो मेरे पास सबसे छोटा नंबर है, which is only going to be when you have 1 0 0 0 0 0 0. सही है. So ये ranges वाली कहानी I can re-verify it first and then I'm going to teach you. For now just assume कि नहीं है. सही है. But yeah, आज अर्जेंटीना का मैच देखेंगे इंशाल्लाह ताला देखेंगे. Sir, for positive, can we use the shortcut method? We can only use the shortcut and not flipping bits. Yep, exactly Assam. सर जी करा दे, एक्स्ट्रा नॉलेज मिल जाएगा. एक्स्ट्रा नॉलेज बहुत हो गया. एक्स्ट्रा नॉलेज आपको आगे मिलेगा. आपको स्कूल वाले टीचर्स बहुत एक्स्ट्रा नॉलेज देंगे. वो जो आपको डर जो लगता है ना पेपर से, वो इसीलिए लगता है क्योंकि आप लोगों को इतनी एक्स्ट्रा नॉलेज दे दी जाती है कि जो कोर्स में है वो आपको याद नहीं होता और एक्स्ट्रा नॉलेज आपके सरों में डाल दिया जाता है. सो आई एम गोना वेरीफाई इट एंड इफ इट्स नॉट तो नो नीड टू स्टडी इट. ओके, मैथ्स को सीरियस का मैथ्स कितने बनाया समझ नहीं आई बॉस शयान साहब. मैथ्स को सीरियस का, अच्छा मास्क किसने पहना है. अच्छा आपको वैसे पता है, इफ यू ओपन अप द सिलेबस, इफ यू ओपन अप द कैम्ब्रिज सिलेबस, for like CS or whatever subject you are studying, you open up the syllabus, and in the syllabus at the end you can go and वहां पे लिखा हुआ है that we expect students to know these math skills. उनके अंदर लिखा हुआ है कि the student should be able to add, subtract, do da blah 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 and everything. तो the examiner did mention it पहले से कि आपको इतनी maths आनी चाहिए. So don't be like okay I don't know maths. Okay, सर जी maths AS level आसान है, very आसान है. Sir, when will we do positive two's complement when even if it says show working, then yeah, if it says show working for a positive two's complement method, तो positive को show करने का सिर्फ यही तरीका है, इसके बगैर कोई तरीका है ही नहीं. When you are asked to represent positive two's complement number, this is the only way. इसके बगैर तरीका है ही नहीं. So वहां पे आपकी वर्किंग भी यही एक्सपेक्टेड है that you write 1 2 4 8 16 32 64 and minus 128 and you put zeros and ones this way. So notes and recording will be in classroom or portal. They would be uploaded in the classroom. इसीलिए मैंने अयान को specifically बोला था your TA to message you all and in the group and also the one who were added recently individually too कि classroom join कर ले. Okay, clear everybody? LMS पे क्या होगा? LMS पे we're gonna upload both of them, but like अगर LMS पे late upload हो रहा हुआ या शायद ना upload हो रहा हो तो ज़हन में रखना कि चीज़ पहले क्लासरूम पे अपलोड होगी and then it's going to get uploaded on the LMS. सही है, but this is only for CS. For other subjects हर टीचर की मर्जी, but like for CS ये सीन है. सर क्लासरूम लिंक भेज दे. अहमद जस्ट टेक्स्ट में मैं आपको भेज दूंगा. I don't know आपको, हाँ you just got added right, you just got added, इस वजह से just text me afterwards, मैं आपको भेज दूंगा. सही है, send me a message in DM, मैं आपको कर दूंगा इंशाल्लाह. Alright, I feel like that's clear now. Everything good? Okay, perfect. Now let's move towards the next concept, which we have up here. Perfect. That is how you subtract negative numbers, binary numbers. Okay, so we just studied how do you add numbers, but like how do you subtract binary numbers? Like bro, I want to subtract 10 minus 2. I know that's 8, but I want to subtract 0, 1, 1, 0, and I want to subtract it from 1, 0, 0, 0. How do I do it? So subtract, you लिख दिया, subtracting binary numbers. Subtracting binary numbers. How do you subtract something like 0, 1, 1, 0, minus 1, 0, 0, 1? Now you might be wondering, sir, ये तो काफी complex लग रहा है, sir, ये मैं क्या करूँगा? Now the thing is, that's something which I want to teach you all at this point. Okay, the method which I'm just going to teach you, that's going to make it literally halwa for you all. Okay, the problem is that if you open up the book or if you study it from some teachers, they might make you learn extra rules. Okay, they might make you learn extra rules. जैसे ये addition की rules मैंने लिखवाए ना, इसी तरीके से वो आपको और rules याद कराएंगे. And I am someone who don't like memorizing extra stuff. Okay, I don't want you guys to memorize extra stuff. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use some logic, some shortcut method जो कि fully applicable है. I've been using it. I got a distinction, right? So कोई मसले की बात नहीं है. And my students have been using them again and again, which if you use would be perfectly fine too. And that is how that if you convert a subtraction question into an addition format like this. Now you might be saying, sir, how is this possible? How can you convert this thingy into something like addition? So for example, you go back to your O-level maths, you have a question which was like 10 minus 4. And we all know the answer is what? It's 6, right? But can I write it some way like 10 being added into negative 4? Can I write it this way? Can I write it this way? 10 is being added into negative 4. What's the answer going to be? Well, it's going to be the same 6, right? Plus minus 4 हो जाता plus minus minus बन जाता है, and so you get the exact same ऊपर वाली expression and you get the answer 6. But I sort of converted the model into basically minus 4 as a separate thingy, 10 as a separate thingy, and if you see, they're being added in between. So you're going to be applying the exact same logic on binary. What I can do is कि यार मैं 0 1 1 0 को add कर देता हूँ in the negative binary of 1 0 0 1. So like I am going to be adding this into negative binary of this. Similarly, as saying I'm going to add 10 into the negative 4 value. अब ये 4 के negative format है, तो ये इस बाइनरी की नेगेटिव बाइनरी बन गई. And I'm gonna add this into this. Now it's pretty obvious that if I do something like this कि ये -1001 की बाइनरी हो, whatever the binary is, okay, I don't know, but let's say ये negative उसकी बाइनरी, and you add this, it's going to eventually get to the same expression which we have up here. So what we can do is that if I want to subtract binary numbers rather than memorizing extra set of rules, what if I do that I basically add this into the negative binary of 1001. So I'm going to find the negative binary of 1001. I'm going to add into, let's say the value is something like 1110. Say this could be 1 kar do, so that you don't get the wrong answer. Say like this. So you know that if I do it, it's 100% similar to saying if something is being subtracted, हमने उसको add कर दिया. But rather than this being negative, मैंने 4 के साथ ना minus कर दिया. तो हमें तो -4 की value समझ आती है. But I cannot do something like -1001. That does not make sense. So I have to convert this -1001 into the negative wali binary, which we just studied, how you convert something which is like this is a positive binary. How do you go from positive to negative binary? So how do you go that way? You write firstly the binary, which we already have. The binary is basically what? It's 1001. So that's the first step. You have the binary already, which is basically for the positive format. Binary for positive. You have the positive one. The second step is that you flip it, right? You flip it. So now if I flip this thingy, it becomes a 0110. And what do you do third? You add 1 into it. You add 1 into it. So now if I want to add 1 into it, it's going to be something like 0110 being added with 1, and you get the answer as 1110. I got this answer. And now you take this value, and you substitute it in place of negative binary of 1001. So this thingy is basically my binary. This is basically binary for negative 1001, which I can now replace at the above point. So now I'm going to take this exact value. I'm going to bring it up here, and I'm going to put it in this point. And so if I put it up here, the question is now going to get converted into 1110 being added into 0111. And boom, I got an answer. Now, if I add them all up, hopefully it does not result in an overflow error, क्योंकि ये तो मैंने खुद से values assume किए. But like if I do it this way, 1110, 0111, what is 1 plus 0? 1 plus 0, yes, ये तो overflow बनेगा. हाँ ये overflow बन जाएगा. But let's suppose हमारे पास कोई और example हो, something that might get you like, what is this? 1, 2, 4, 8. So 4 and 8, 14, 14 minus 9, 1, 9, 14 minus 9. This should work though. This should be perfectly fine. 1110 plus 1001, 011. Let's try it. Okay. So we have 1110 and we have 0111. Now you're going to add them all up. 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 plus 1 is a 0 with 1 carry. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 1 with 1 carry. And you see 1 plus 1 is again 0 with 1 carry. अब यहाँ पे yes we did have an overflow error coming up, but it's because जो values मैंने लिए वो values ऐसे कि उनकी वजह से overflow cause हो गया. But like this answer which I just got, if I look and focus upon this answer should be my subtraction answer, which is 0101. And if I convert it back 1, 2, 4, 8, it's basically 5, right? It's 5. And now if I focus back, what was this? This was 1, 2, 4, 8, and this was 1, 2, 4, 8. So this was 8 plus 4 plus 2, which is basically 14. And 14 was being subtracted from 8 plus 1, 9. So I should have gotten something like a 5, which you can clearly see that I got a 5 up here. अब ओवरफ्लो क्यों कॉज हुआ आपके जहन में क्वेश्चन होगा. ओवरफ्लो इसलिए कॉज हुआ क्योंकि जो वैल्यूज थी वो मैंने खुद से पोस्ट कर दी, बट बिकॉज वी आर ओनली डीलिंग विद 4 बिट्स अप हियर, तो वी आर जस्ट गोना फोकस ऑन द 4 बिट आंसर. एग्जाम में ओवरफ्लो अगर आता है, सो यू जस्ट इंडिकेट एन ओवरफ्लो लाइक दिस, ignore, your answer is 0101. Okay, so like if I focus on this answer, didn't I get the exact same 5? I did, right? So this means that this method is perfectly fine. Similarly, if I have to do something else, like maybe I have something like 0101 and I have to subtract 0011. So if I first convert it into denary, what is it? 1248, and this is 1248. So it's basically 5 minus 3, right? So it's 5 minus 3. And what I can do is, rather than doing it 5 minus 3, I can write it to be 5 plus minus 3. So I'm going to find the negative 3 binary for negative 3. I'm going to find binary for negative 3. I'm going to replace it up here and I'm just going to add them. So how do you find binary for negative 3? So first step, binary for negative 3. How do you do that? Same thing. You first write the binary for positive 3. वो तो हमें पता है 0 0 1 1. Then you flip it up 1 1 0 0. And जब ये हो गया, now you just add 1 into it. So you just add this and 1 0 1 हो गया, 0 इसी तरह नीचे and 1 1 नीचे आ गया. I got this. So now the question is being changed into 0 1 0 1 being added into 1 1 0 1, just the way I did it up here. 5 plus binary of minus 3. So binary of 5 is this, plus minus 3 is 1101. And now if I add these two, you can see that I can get my answer to be as 1101. And you can see I'm going to get the same answer to be, I should be getting something like a 2. Okay, I should be getting a 2. Even if it's an overflow error, 2 aana chahiye. 1 plus 1 is a 0 with 1 carry. 1 plus 0 is basically 1. 1 plus 1 is again 0 with 1 carry. And again, 1 plus 1 is 0 with 1 carry. So yeah, we do have an overflow error again, values ऐसे. But if you see, हम क्योंकि 4 bits के ऊपर focus करें, we are just focusing upon 4 bits. All the values are in 4 bits. This is in 4 bits. 4 bits. This is in 4 bits. So the answer, my scope of answer where I'm going to be focusing, that's also going to be 4 bits. So if I focus on this answer which I just got and I write that up here, 0 0 1 0, and I convert this 1 2 4 8, you're going to see the answer which I get is basically a 2. I got it perfectly fine. Now the reason why overflows are coming at this point is क्योंकि जो numbers मैं ले रहा हूँ बहुत ही छोटे हैं ना, like 2 5 इस तरह. In exam you might get something like maybe 0 0 1 0 1 0 1 1 being subtracted from 0 0 0 1 0 1 1 0, something like this. And now in a scenario like this, it's pretty hopeful that you might not get an overflow error, but you may give it a shot yourself, okay, later on. Give it a shot yourself. But that is how you generally represent subtraction in terms of binary. A quick recap, you have something like this, basic maths. Rather than doing mathematician rules and like learning new rules for binary subtraction, what I do is I convert that into addition. So I convert minus 4 to plus minus 4, where I then find the binary for minus 4. I have the binary for 10. I replace the numbers with the binaries. So binary negative 4 key and binary 10 key, and you add them and using the same rules which we studied earlier on, and this answer which you get, it's perfectly fine and according to what the examiner was expected. So this is 100% fine, and if you use this shortcut in exam, you should be very much good to go without losing any marks at all. But that's how you basically subtract binary numbers. Is this clear, everybody? In the chat box, any questions, and you may ask them right now. Perfect. Shabash. Everyone, every single one of you in the class, shabash. It's not 16, it's 2. हाँ, we ignore the overflow. ये तो छोटी वैल्यूज है जो एग्जाम में क्वेश्चन आएंगे उनमें ओवरफ्लो नहीं आते. ये तो छोटी वैल्यू में खुद से सपोज करो, so इस वजह से we ignore the overflow up here. Why are we ignoring the overflow? क्योंकि यहाँ पे क्वेश्चन was in 4 bits. ये 4 bits था, ये भी 4 bits है, तो जो आंसर है वो भी 4 bits में. आपके पास जगह ही नहीं है वो अगले बिट को काउंट करने के लिए. सो लाइक ओके, वो ओवरफ्लो हो गया एंड यू गेट दिस टू बी एज योर आंसर. Can it be more than 8 bits? Not in the syllabus most wise. Sir, is this AS का concept? Yes, it's AS का concept. Of course, नायरा मैं फिर से भी कर लेता हूँ. So जी इस तरह कर सकते like first convert to denary फिर में नहीं वो नहीं हो सकता. You're gonna lose marks. You're gonna lose marks. Binary subtraction. Binary subtraction का मतलब ही यही है कि you need to stay in terms of binary. If you go away from binary, you're gonna lose marks. Okay. So नायला, आप मुझे एक बात बताओ. If you have a number like 10 minus 2, the answer is an 8, right? ये आपको पता है ना, ये समझ आ रही है नहीं? मैं शो करना है ही like 5 बिट्स का आंसर नहीं, आपने आंसर वही 4 बिट्स का लिखना है. एग्जाम में जो क्वेश्चन आएगा उनमें ओवरफ्लो आएगा नहीं, बट लाइक अगर इस तरह आ जाता है, यू जस्ट इंडिकेट ओवरफ्लो, आंसर आपको वही 4 बिट्स का होगा. Now in the chat box, tell me if I do something like this, 10 minus 2, you know the answer is 8. ये तो क्लियर है ना, right? Naila, in the chat box, shaba, you got to be interactive if you want to learn. वरना फिर तो learning नहीं होती ना. Perfect. Yeah. So now if I write it to be something like 10 के अंदर में add कर दूं minus 2 की बाइंडिंग, तो is that also going to get me the answer as 8? Is that true or false? plus minus is minus, and 10 plus minus 2 is 8. This is true, right? So what I just did was, the question was कि आपके पास let's say binary है 10 की, which might be something like 1010, and you're subtracting binary of 2 from it, something like this. What if I do, what जो मैं कर सकता हूँ एक चीज, कि इसको मैं इस तरीके से लिख दूं कि मैं 10 की बाइनरी इसी तरह लिख दूं 1010, और उसमें मैं ऐड कर दूं -2 की बाइनरी. बट ये तो जो मेरे पास ये वाली बाइनरी है, ये तो +2 की बाइनरी है ना. दिस इज द बाइनरी ऑफ +2. तो the answer which I should be getting, that should be exactly the same as if I was subtracting 1010 minus 0010, right? अगर यहाँ पे -2 की बाइनरी आ जाए, इसी तरह है या नहीं है नायरा? अगर नहीं समझ आ रही तो बताओ, so that I can explain it from another approach. Like if I exactly सेम एज सेइंग कि यहाँ पे -2 को मैं ऐड कर रहा हूँ, तो यहाँ पे -2, यहाँ पे उसकी बाइनरी होगी -2 की बाइनरी, राइट? यहाँ पे -2 की बाइनरी होगी. नाउ द थिंग इज, ये बाइनरी जो हमें गिवन है, तो +2 की बाइनरी है, ये तो +2 की बाइनरी है. यहाँ पे -2 की बाइनरी लिखनी है. सो आई नीड टू गो फ्रॉम +2 to -2, right? I need to go from +2 to -2. How do you go from positive to negative? We just studied कि आप पॉजिटिव की बाइनरी लिखते हो, which was like, let's say for example अगर हम 2 के केस करें, तो it's like 0010, ये +2 की बाइनरी है. Then you flip the bits, which means कि आप 1 को 0 बना देते हो and 0 को 1 बना देते हो. So like 1101, and then you basically add a 1 into it, कि ये जो आपके पास अभी आंसर है 1101, इसमें आप एक 1 ऐड करो. So 1 plus 1 is a 0 with 1. 1 plus 0 is another 1, and ये यहाँ पे zeros ही हैं, so it's like not going to make a difference. It's going to just come like before 1110. And now I might replace this part as 1110. Why? क्योंकि यहाँ पे क्या नहीं थी, -2 की बाइनरी. What is this? This is -2 की बाइनरी. So this answer which I got, ये -2 की है. तो ये जो -2 वाली जगह, वहां पे मैंने -2 की बाइनरी स्टोर कर दी. यहां तक समझ आई आपको नाइला या नहीं? यहां तक समझ आई? यस और नो? जल्दी जल्दी शाबाश शाबाश, निकले तो पूछो. परफेक्ट, समझ आ गई ना? सो नाउ वी जस्ट गोना ऐड देम अप. Just the same concept we learned in the last classes. You add them up like this, and now when you add them up, 0 plus 0 is 0, 1 plus 1 is 0 with 1, 1 plus 1 is another again 0 with 1, and 1 plus 1 plus 1 is basically 1 with 1 carry. But ये carry हम ignore कर देते हैं. Why are we ignoring this carry, you might be saying? हम इसलिए ignore करें क्योंकि हमारे पास जो जगह है ना, वो सिर्फ 4 बिट्स को accommodate करने की है. लेकिन हमारे पास जो गाड़ी है ना, गाड़ी के अंदर 4 लोग आ सकते हैं. पहले भी जो गाड़ी आ रही थी उनमें भी 4 थी, दूसरे में भी 4 थी, एंड क्या नाम है, आखिरी वाले भी जो है उनके अंदर भी 4 है. तो हमें 4 की ही जगह चाहिए. सो लाइक हमारे पास जो 5वां बिट आएगा, उसके लिए तो हमारे पास जगह ही नहीं है. सो आई एम गोना जस्ट से कि ओके आ गया, यू माइट शो के एरो है, बट यू गोना इग्नोर इट. एंड सो माय आंसर इज 1000. एंड नाउ इफ आई कन्वर्ट दिस बैक इनटू डेनरी, तो ये क्या बन रहा है, 8 के नीचे, तो आई गेट द सेम आंसर एज 8, राइट? नाउ इज इट क्लियर? नाउ इज इट क्लियर नाइला और नॉट? कोई दूसरा मेथड है? सर दूसरा मेथड है, बट वो मैं आपको नहीं पढ़ाऊंगा, क्योंकि वो उसमें आप लोग सिर्फ ब्लंडर्स करोगे, आप लोग रट्टा मारोगे, आप लोग गलतियां करोगे, आप लोग मिक्स करोगे, एंड आई डोंट वांट यू गाइस टू लूज मार्क्स ऑन दिस सिली थिंग. सही? सर आई थॉट ओवरफ्लो ओनली हैपन व्हेन बिट्स वर मोर देन 8. नॉट नेसेसरीली. ओवरफ्लो तब होता है जब आपके पास नंबर ऑफ बिट्स जितने भी हो, उससे कोई बड़ा आंसर आ जाता है, या कोई आंसर इस तरह आ जाता है जो उसके अंदर एकोमोडेट नहीं हो सकता. सो लाइक इट्स नॉट नेसेसरी कि 8 के साथ सिर्फ हो, आपके 4 बिट्स में भी ओवरफ्लो हो सकता है, आपके साथ 16 में भी हो सकता है, 32 में भी हो सकता है. बट इट्स लाइक when an overflow occurs in exam, you got to just show it. Okay, don't be like that kid जो show नहीं करता. You usually get a mark for showing कि okay overflow आ गया, you ignored it, but because यहाँ पे भी 4 बिट है, यहाँ पे भी 4 बिट है, so हम आंसर में भी 4 बिट को ही काउंट करेंगे. Clear now? Anybody जिसको अभी तक समझ नहीं है? सर आर यू अ यस फैन? यस आई एम अ यस फैन. बिल्कुल, आई लव सीइंग yeses ऑन द चैट बॉक्स कि आप लोग को समझ आ गई है. देन आई एम लाइक ओके चलो शुक्र है समझ आ गई है बच्चों को. बिकॉज़ यू नो व्हेन आई वाज डूइंग माय एएस लेवल्स, A levels, I did not have a good teacher. Okay, I'll be pretty honest with you, I did not have a good CS teacher at all, and I had to struggle a lot. Okay, I had to struggle a lot. I did not go with any private teachers or something. I don't know why. मैंने कहा कर लूंगा, कर तो लिया alhamdulillah, but you know I had to go through a lot of struggle, and I don't want you guys to go through that struggle. So because I don't want to I don't want you guys to go through that struggle. I'm trying to make everything as simple as possible, making you guys go through the shortcuts rather than stuff jo ke boring ho. Okay, sir, do you recommend any A level CS book to revise from? I can share it that. Sir, I meant ye कि नहीं समझ आई हमजा भाई, लिटरली मेरा दिमाग अभी मरा हुआ है. तो ये सीन है. एंड मोइज आई एम गोना शेयर द ए लेवल बुक की पिक्चर विद यू, आप वो देख लेना. सर डू वी हैव राइट वन डाउन आल्सो व्हेन वी हैव ओवरफ्लो एरर? यस, आपने ये वन को नीचे लिखना होता है, बट आप लिख देते हो कि ओवरफ्लो एंड आंसर आपका ये हो जाता है. सही है. के इन्वेस्ट, अच्छा अच्छा, सही सही सही, इस तरह. माय बैड, समझ नहीं आई. ऑफ कोर्स आई नो अबाउट हिम. अच्छा, द आंसर वुड बी 1110. आंसर आपका ये होगा, जो इन दोनों को ऐड करोगे ना, इसको और इसको, आंसर जब ऐड किए तो हमारे पास क्या आंसर है? हमारे पास आंसर है 1000. सो नाइला, योर आंसर इज गोना बी 1000. 1110 तो -2 की बाइनरी थी ना, तो हमने 10 की जगह 10 की बाइनरी लिख दी, -2 की जगह 1110 -2 की बाइनरी लिख दी. अब हम इन दोनों को ऐड करेंगे, तो जब इन दोनों को ऐड करेंगे तो 8 आता है. तो जो मेरे पास आंसर ये आया, दैट्स द आंसर ऑफ द सबट्रैक्शन. Then is it okay if I completely skip reading from book? 100% okay. You don't need the book. Okay, you don't need the book at all. If you're taking the live classes, you're attending the lectures and everything, you'll be good to go. So, Saji, after taking this session, can we give exam in October? Yes, yes. If you want to give the exam in October, that's up to you. But I would recommend May June mein de do. Sir, so we don't have to write the overflow in the answer, right? Right? Ha. In this one, when it's subtraction, aap na likho. Usually it's like आपने इस वन को यहाँ पे लिख देते हो. यू राइट द आंसर लाइक विद अ बिट ऑफ गैप एंड यू शो द वन अप हियर एंड यू से ओवरफ्लो. यू से ओवरफ्लो समथिंग लाइक दिस. बट अगर आपको डेडिकेटेडली जगह गिवन हो कि आंसर लिखो, तो वहां पे आपने 100 लिखना है. सही है. जनरली ये. बट एग्जाम में जब भी ओवरफ्लो आता है ना, तो ओवरफ्लो का क्वेश्चन इसी तरीके से आता है. कोई ओवरफ्लो का जब भी क्वेश्चन आता है ना, तो ओवरफ्लो जब मतलब एग्जाम में जब आपके पास ये क्वेश्चन आएगा ना, टू डू सबट्रैक्शन, आई एम गोना ब्रिंग सम एग्जाम स्टाइल क्वेश्चंस इन टुमारोज क्लास. तो उसमें आपको इजंट इट बेटर टू मेंशन, आई डिडंट मेंशन द ओवरफ्लो, यू हैव टू मेंशन द ओवरफ्लो. वो तो आपने करना है अहमद, उसको आप नहीं छोड़ सकते. आई एम गोना ब्रिंग अप सम एग्जाम क्वेश्चंस फॉर यू ऑल टुमारो इंशाल्लाह. उसके अंदर आई एम गोना शो यू हाउ डू यू सबट्रैक्ट, एंड उस सिनेरियोज में यू गोना अंडरस्टैंड कि जब आप वहां सबट्रैक्शन करोगे, ओवरफ्लो अकर ही नहीं होती. अकर ही नहीं होती. अगर अकर हुई, यू जस्ट राइट वन, यू से ओवरफ्लो, एंड अगर आंसर की जगह, यू जस्ट राइट 1000. बट दिस वन नीड्स टू बी शोन. ओके, डोंट बी द पर्सन हु इग्नोर्स द ओवरफ्लो. ओवरफ्लो वन करके यहाँ पे दिखाना है कि yes, I did get the overflow, I know it's an overflow, and yes, the calculation did result in an overflow, but my answer is basically 1000. Why? Because मैं 4 बिट्स के साथ डील कर रहा हूँ, तो 4 बिट्स में गाड़ी में 4 लोग आ सकते हैं, तो यहाँ भी 4 बिट्स आ सकते हैं. So 1000 has to be my answer. Clear now, everyone? Saji, threshold average. So average AS level threshold is around 90 marks for an A. 90 to 94 out of 150 for an A. Out of 150, yes guys. Easy सीन है guys. हलवा पेपर है guys. हाँ, यही तो बोलो, हलवा पेपर है. लोग वैसे रोते हैं यार, लोग रोते हैं. अब आप मैथ्स का सुनोगे, मैथ्स का is like 108 out of 125. खुद सोचो. A star के लिए, if you're scoring 20 marks above A, you're good to go. So like, if you guys are aiming for like a 120ish out of 150, you're way good to go. You're very much good to go. So yeah, you're very much good to go. So like 94 पे A, if you're scoring 115 plus in AS, that's perfectly good. Overall, आपने एक बात ज़हन में रखनी है. Yes, we do have in distinctions in A level. एक बात ज़हन में रखनी है कि अभी AS में ना एक बड़ा मसला होगा. You guys are going to prepare for A grade. Okay, you guys are going to prepare for A grade. The problem is people are like, okay, 94 out of 150 pe A. Okay, 94 out of 150. You might get like a 96 AS ke andar A, and you're going to be happy. Okay, bro, let's go. I got a yeah, Dil garden. Okay, yeah. But like, prank ye hota hai कि then you go to A2, and A2 mein you feel like, okay, now I'm going to get an A star. But this A which you got up here, that's a low A. सही है. Why am I saying low A? क्योंकि जब आप 96 इधर ले लेते हैं, let's say you also get 96 in your A2. So if I add them all up, you get something like a 192 total. 192 total. The thing is, A level में जब आप A2 में final threshold जो आपका बनता है ना, जो final grade threshold होता है, वो basically ये दोनों AS and A2 के A grade के thresholds को add करके उसमें around 25 to 30 marks और add हो जाते हैं. 25 to 30 और add हो जाते हैं. So like for example, if your AS का threshold comes out to be 94, and let's say A2 के A grade का threshold is something like 95, so जो आपका final A star बनेगा वो होगा by adding 94 plus 95, which is 189. And to be on the safe side, I'm going to assume कि उसके अंदर plus 30. Even sometimes 30 से ज़्यादा भी हो जाता है. So like A star is going to be then at 219, 219. Now the point is, if you aim for a low A up here, like a 96 and a 96, you also end up getting an A in your A22. But the point here to note is that because we are not going to be aiming for an A, we are going to be aiming for what? An A star. So हम 94 का aim नहीं करेंगे. We're going to aim for something like a 115. So now if I get 115 in my A's and I get 115 in my A22 and I add the two together, so you can see 115 into 2 is basically 230. So I'm scoring 230. A star 219 pe. So you're good to go. But again, it shouldn't be 115. Ideally, to be very much safe, very much safe, I'm going to assume because A2 becomes more challenging, there is a greater chance for you to lose marks in A2. Try to score 120 plus ASCS mein to be extremely safe for an A star. Extremely safe. Even 115 maybe you are at A star. Even 110 maybe you are at an A star. But the more you score in AS, the lower marks you need in A2. ये ज़हन में बात रखनी है. तो don't look on to the A threshold when solving papers or topicals. आपने सोचना है कि मैं ए से भी कम से कम 10 नंबर ऊपर मिनिमम हूं. फॉर फिजिक्स यू नीड टू बी 10 मार्क्स अबव एवरी सिंगल कंपोनेंट. सेम गोस फॉर आई गेस केमिस्ट्री का तो मुझे पता नहीं है, बट फॉर मैथ्स अगेन, मैथ्स के लिए इफ द ए इज एट 52 यू नीड टू बी स्कोरिंग 62 मिनिमम अगर आप ए स्टार के लिए एम करें. इफ द ए इज एट 34 यू नीड टू बी स्कोरिंग 44 इन दैट पेपर अगर आप ए स्टार के लिए एम करें. Try to score at least A से 15 to 20 marks ऊपर overall in that course AS में, and same thing A2 में to get a final A star. Should we get physical past papers as well? Not at this point, हसन अभी नहीं, वो मैं आप लोग को बताऊंगा उस वक्त हो जाएगा. सर बस लीक्स का इंशाल्लाह इस दफा कैम्ब्रिज को हमने अच्छा सबक सिखा दिया. द मैटर हैज वेंट टू इवन सेनेट, तो आप टेंशन ना लो, एवरीथिंग वुड बी गुड टू गो. ओके, सो दैट इज हाउ यू बेसिकली सॉल्व बाइनरी क्वेश्चंस इन टर्म्स ऑफ what do we call it, this whole concept of subtraction and all that stuff. Sorry, Hassan, my bad. Okay, so let's do one thing. Let me just open up some paper and I can show you some question, and let's just do 2 questions inshallah, and then we can end up the class. Okay, so let me just bring up, this is from the actual exam paper. Okay, let me find this question and आपको चलो एक ये question भी कर लेते हैं. ये तो वैसे बहुत ही आसान सवाल है, तो you might not even find any difficulty in it, but ये सवाल मुझे ढूंढने दो. जनाब सवाल किधर है? Once you see the paper you're gonna be like okay sir थोड़ा मुश्किल लग रहा है, but इतना मुश्किल नहीं होता. Okay, it's like easy paper होता है, हो जाता है. Okay, so now I'm going to show you this one question, and isse aapko, now you see this is how you get questions on the exam paper. So the examiner sab is very helpful. उसने आपको क्वेश्चन दिया, एंड क्वेश्चन में क्या लिखा? क्वेश्चन में लिखा हुआ है कंप्लीट सर जी, आर यू इन लाहौर? नो, आई एम इन एबटाबाद राइट नाउ. The question says complete the following binary addition. Show all your working, include any overflow bits. खुद ही बता दिया कि कोई overflow हो रहा है तो add बता देना. So now you add the numbers first. 1 plus 1 is 0 with 1 carry. 1 plus 0 is 1. 1 plus 0 is a 1. 0 plus 0 is 0. 1 plus 1 is 0 with 1 carry. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 1 with 1 carry. 1 plus 1 is 0 with 1 carry. And of course 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 1 with 1 carry, जिसको मैं फिर यहाँ पे एरो से दिखा के 1 करके यहाँ पे क्लियरली मेंशन कर दूंगा that it's an overflow error. Now the reason why people don't get marks in AS is that the people who had O level CS, remember जब आपको overflow का question O levels में आता था, the question used to be of 3 marks, 3 or 4 marks. कितना? 3 or 4 marks for literally doing this working. Right now it's 1 marks. It's just a single 1 mark. That's the reason, क्योंकि आपके easy questions कम हो गए and those complex और descriptive लंबे कहानियां लिखने वाले सवाल बढ़ जाते हैं, which the people and the students are unable to write in the right format, due to which they lose the marks. So that's the first part. And the second question says subtract the binary number this from the binary number this using binary subtraction. Show your working. So now the thing is, I'm going to be writing I need to write this 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0. I'm going to subtract it from 0, 1, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. Now what I can do is I can convert this in a way कि इसको मैं पहले convert कर दूं into negative and फिर I add it up. So I might be doing 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0 being added into this thingy जो इसकी negative होगी. So इसकी negative क्या होगी? You write the bits 0, 0, 1, 0, 0. You flip them 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, and then you add a 1 into it. So now if I add a 1 into it, 1 plus 1 is 0 with 1. 1 plus 1 is basically again 0 with 1. 1 plus 0 is a 1, and everything else is just going to follow along. And now I'm just going to add these values 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0. Now I'm going to add the two together 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 1, 0 into 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 0. And let's see if I get an overflow error this time. 0 plus 0 is a 0. थोड़ी line सीधी बना दो भाई. So yeah. 1 plus 0 is a 1. 1 plus 1 is 0 with 1 carry. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is a 1 with 1 carry. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is 1 with 1 carry. 1 plus 0 is just 1. 0 plus 0 is just 0. 0 plus 1 is 1. And boom, I got my answer to be as 1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 0. And now you see, you don't have any overflow error, right? So that's the whole point कि वो जो वहां पे मैं वैल्यूज खुद से सपोज कर रहा था, that is why ओवरफ्लो आ रहा था. एग्जाम में जब क्वेश्चंस आएंगे ना, एग्जाम में क्वेश्चंस बहुत स्ट्रेट फॉरवर्ड होते हैं. वो आपसे नहीं ओवरफ्लो वाले कॉन्सेप्ट लाते हैं, और अगर लाए तो वो इस तरह लिख देते कि इंक्लूड, वरना आप खुद लिख देते हो. वरना आपको जब सब्ट्रैक्शन के क्वेश्चंस आए, you're going to see कि आपके क्वेश्चंस are going to be this way. And you can clearly see I got my answer perfectly fine without memorizing those useless rules. And that's the whole way of solving a question like this. Now, if it's clear, सब लोग शाबाश अच्छे से चैट बॉक्स में लिख देना कि आप लोग को समझ आ गई है. अगर समझ नहीं आई तो फिर भी बता दो ताकि मैं आपको फिर से एक्सप्लेन कर दूं. अदरवाइज we understood concept. C के कितने मार्क्स हैं, C के कितने मार्क्स हैं, let me relook and फिर आपको मैं बता देता हूँ. just a second. C पार्ट के आपके मार्क्स हैं, क्वेश्चन नंबर क्या था, 7. It's of 2 marks, so it's just a 2 mark question. So you can see कि like literally इन्होंने कोई आपको वैल्यू दी ही नहीं है at this point. like मतलब वो बोल रहे हैं कि भाई आपने कर लिया, बड़ा तीर मार दिया, बट मैं आपको 2 नंबर से ज्यादा इसके दूंगा ही नहीं, को दूंगा ही नहीं. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point. So if this is 2 marker, and now I know a lot of you would be thinking, sir, मुझे डर है कि पता नहीं सर ये आपने जो मेथड बताया है, नहीं एग्जामिनर मेरे नंबर ना काट देना, क्योंकि मुझे तो सर आपके ऊपर यकीन नहीं है. तो फॉर दैट पॉइंट, अगर आपको यकीन नहीं है तो ये लो, यकीन कर लो. दिस इज द पिक्चर फ्रॉम द मार्किंग स्कीम. ओके, so marking scheme said you can do direct subtraction, which is something which includes new rules. So ignore. So we do what? Ignore. And what this method, 2's complement, the method we use. That's the method we use. So examiner ने clear cut बता दिया that whatever method you use, any method, you should be good to go. So the method which we just learned, that's perfectly credited by examiners, hence verified कि no, there is no problem with doing this method at all, and you're gonna get full marks. This method which we touched it, that was the 2's complement one. 2's complement one. Why? क्योंकि हम उसमें नेगेटिव, ये जो नेगेटिव की बाइनरी निकाली, ये क्या की है? This is the 2's complement model, right? You flip, you add one 2's complement, which we just studied, and that's how you get to the answer, and that's how you finally write up your answer. सर आपके अलावा किसी पे भरोसा नहीं है. लव यू सीन हो गया शान भाई. लव यू सीन हो गया. सर जी आई यूज कन्वर्जन वाला, बट नाउ आई हैव टू डू दिस. ये मेथड आसान है, ये मेथड आसान है. इफ यू यूज द डायरेक्ट सब्ट्रैक्शन, you're going to learn new rules. Okay, you're going to learn extra stuff. You're going to mess up because इसके अंदर जो ये rules है, तौबा, I remember I saw those rules once when I was looking onto the book and I was like, भाई ये याद कौन करेगा? So to prevent these scenarios, it's better that you basically do these questions relatively through an easier way, something which uses the same method जो हम पहले पढ़ रहे थे, ताकि आप आराम से सब कुछ clear up कर सकें and you are good to go. And that wraps us the content which we were supposed to study today. Inshallah ta'ala, we're going to be continuing tomorrow, same 8 p.m, further jumping into newer concepts. Kal ki class mein we're going to be learning one new concept which was not there back in your O levels. So the O level kiddos, finally आपके लिए भी एक new चीज introduce हो जाएगी. We're gonna start off with a O level ka concept, and then we're going to be studying a newer concept, and then we will be going back to the same O level topics. So the chapter number one is very much, O level, O level, O level. But inshallah, the difficulty will be raised in the questions. Okay, so it's no longer the, like, if this was an O level question, I'm pretty sure it would have been a 5 mark question. Like ये 2 number का होता, ये कोई 3 marks का होता. So 5-6 number तो पक्के इनके थे. यहाँ पे it's just 3 marks. So you see easy stuff gone. That's the reason I'm not only going to be teaching you, I'm going to make you guys practice, for which I kept that extra Monday class. And for that, I kept those extra TA classes. So everything should be good to go. That is it for today, everybody. If you have any questions, you may ask those. If not, see you guys inshallah tomorrow. Take care. Allah Hafiz. You can share the recording, or you can watch the recording on your own. You can let your friends know too, inshallah, that they can register for our AS sessions. And of course, see you guys inshallah tomorrow. Take care. Allah Hafiz.